Nicki Cohen. She's from right here in Denton, the Little D Guild. Give it up for Denton. She's a professor emeritus at Texas Women's University. She's a music therapist, and she tells Jewish tales, and she's going to share a story with us right now. Please welcome Nicki.
This is a story about a boy and a goat. It was a warm winter that year, and the furrier was worried. The furrier was worried because people weren't coming to him to get fur coats or fur hats because it was warm. And he was worried he wouldn't have enough money for his family, money to buy things like cooking oil or candles. So he talked to the butcher, and he said, I have a 12-year-old goat named Zlata, and she is not giving much milk anymore, and I was wondering if you would need her. And the butcher said, I will give you 8 gluten for Zlata. And the furrier said, okay. So he went home, and he told his eldest son, Aaron, who was also 12 years old, that the next day he was to walk down to the next village with the goat, to give the goat to the butcher, spend the night there, come back the next day with the money and give it to his father. Now, Aaron was not a stupid boy. He knew what that meant. I mean, he was a furrier's son, for goodness sake. But he was heartbroken because he knew this goat ever since they were both tiny, and he couldn't bear the thought of not having the goat around anymore. But his father told him to do this, and he had to follow what his father said. So the next day, he got up early. He put on a thin coat. He had a walking stick. He grabbed some cheese and bread for the trip. He had a rope for Zlata so that he could lead the goat down to the next village. And so he brought the goat out, and she's so dear. She was so sweet. She'd always been treated so well, so loved, and so she was gratefully allowed him to put the rope around her neck to get ready to go down. She gave him a little lick on his hand when he did that. She had a little beard and horns, and you can just imagine. And so they headed off early in the morning, down the hill and on the road towards the butcher. And when they started out, the weather was warm, beautiful. But as they went on, the sky got cloudy, gray, and there was really ugly blue cores to some of those clouds. And then the wind started to blow really cold. And after that, it hailed. It's like daggers of ice down on the boy, down on the goat. And then it snowed. And it wasn't a light, lovely snow. No, it was a blizzard. It was thick, it was ugly, and Aaron could not see in front of him and back of him. He did not know if it was day or night. He just was completely ensconced in this snow. He didn't know if he was on the road still or off the road. And he was very, very worried about it. Zlata, on the other hand, well, she's used to winters, but this was not a snow she was used to. Her little horns were frozen, and she had little icicles hanging from her beard. And finally, she put her hooves down in the ground and sat down looked up and started to bleat, to cry, "Get me out of here! What are you doing, Aaron?" And Aaron realized that if he didn't do something soon, they were both going to die. And so he prayed. He prayed that he would be saved and that this beautiful, innocent creature with him would be saved. And he lifted up his head, and he saw a hill in front of him that he hadn't noticed before, a hill of snow. And so he gently yanked Zlata along to the hill. He knocked off the top of the mountain to see what was there, the hill, and it was hay. It was a haystack. He had found a haystack, and they were saved because they could go inside the haystack. They could stay dry, they could stay warm, and they could stay there until the blizzard was over. And that's what they did. Aaron took his walking stick and he plowed a tunnel into the middle of that haystack, and he went in and he made a beautiful room in the middle of the haystack for them to be in. And he brought the goat in there, and the goat realized that she was completely surrounded with hay. And she was really very, very happy about that. She ate it up this way, she ate the hay down there, she ate it over here and over there. She was very content. And Aaron sat and ate his cheese and bread, and he was still really hungry. But, it'd been a really rough day, but that's all the food he had. And he looked down at Zlata, and he realized her udders were filled. She needed to be milked. And he gratefully laid down by her, took her udders, and squirted the milk into his mouth. It was warm, it was sweet, it was wonderful. And Zlata was fine sharing her milk with Aaron. And after he had milked her, they had a little conversation. He said, "Zlata, have you thought about what we've been through today?" And Zlata said, "Ma." He said, "Zlata, if we hadn't found this haystack, we probably would be dead by now." And Zlata said, "Ma." "Zlata, we might be here for a while." "Ma." "Zlata, what does ma mean?" "Ma. Ma." I get it. Ma means, I am here for you, and you are here for me. Ma. And they fell asleep. Day 2. Aaron woke up and heard a horrible winter wind blowing against the haystack. It sounded like demons outside, and he knew they weren't going anywhere that day. And he slept most of the day. He dreamed it was summer, and the sun was warm on his head and his shoulders, and he could smell the fresh green grass and the summer flowers. And later that day, after he had milked Zlata, he told her about what it was like being in his family. And when they all got done doing their chores, they would go by the fireside and sit and talk with each other and sing songs and tell stories. And one of the songs that his mother sings to him was a song about a boy and a goat. And the song was about a yigdala, which was a boy, and a zigala, which is a goat. The language is Yiddish, which is a combination of Hebrew and German and Russian and some others. And in this song, the mother sings, goat will have to travel, will have to wander. And you, my son, will have to wander too, to make your living. But I hope that along the way, you get some wonderful things in your life, things like Roischinkas mit Mädlen, raisins and almonds. And then the mother says, but for now, sleep, my son, sleep. And Aaron said, Zlata, I'm going to sing this for you. Unter jegter Ziegele steht a Chlorva Ziegele. Das Ziegele is gefeuren Händlen. Das beweint ein Berut, Räuschinkus mit Mändlen. Schlaf, mein Jedele, schlaf. And they fell asleep. Day 3. Aaron woke up. He did not hear the wind blowing. And he thought, maybe the storm was over. So he went out through the tunnel, and he stepped outside, and the sun was shining. There was white mist everywhere. And he could hear birds singing, and he heard in the distance sleigh bells. So he went in and he got the goat, and he carried the goat outside, and then he picked up the goat in his arms and ran across the snowy field in the direction of the sleigh bells. And they saw a cart with horses and a driver, and Aaron said, please, sir, please take me and my goat. I think I just dropped the goat, sorry about that. Take me and my goat to my home down this road in the town. And the driver said, I will do that. You see, Aaron had made up his mind about something while he was in the haystack. He decided there was no way he was going to be separated from Zlata. No way. And Aaron's family, well, they were beside themselves. They could not find the boy. They could not find the goat. They thought maybe they had lost them for good. They were very, very sad. So when they heard sleigh bells coming up the hill towards the house, they went running outside, and there they saw in a cart Aaron and the goat, and they were so wildly joyful, and they threw their arms around the boy, and the goat licked their hands, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time. A few weeks later, the family had finished all their chores, and they were sitting by the fire, and Zlata had come up to the back door with her hoof and scratched, and they had let her in and given her some carrot peelings and some potato peelings, and she was quite happy, and she was sitting at Aaron's feet. And he looked down at her, she looked up at him. He said, Zlata, do you remember what we went through those 3 days in the haystack? And Zlata looked up at him and got ready to make the sound that showed all of her thoughts and all of her love.